What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today's Down and Dirty is yet another request from one of you guys. It's how to safely climb, and I'm going to add on, also descend a pretty steep pile. Now, unfortunately, I don't have this sucker, you know, heaped high enough that we're going to have to climb multiple times, but we can at least talk about some of the concepts that are going to apply. So the first thing I'm going to say is, especially as a new operator, but really general rule of thumb for anybody in the industry, if you're operating, especially with the doors and windows open, belt up, you know, throw on your seat belt if you're going to be doing slope work, just because stuff can go sideways real quick. You can actually, you can accidentally have a little jostle or something that shoots you out on the controls, and next thing you know, you're tumbling out of the machine and it rolls over on top of you. That's kind of gonna be a bad day. So always wear your seatbelt when especially when you're doing slope work and climbing hills like this. So like I said, we've got a small hill out in front of us, but the concepts apply no matter how steep the slope is. As you can see, this is pretty sheer. I've pulled the dirt back so that it's a pretty sheer face here. And the way we're going to approach this, as a rookie operator, I will say you will be shocked at what an excavator can climb. You're going to go up to some faces, whether you're descending or ascending them. You're going to go, there's no way we can do that, until you see someone do it, and then you're like, wow, that wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up here to our face. And what we're looking for is we really want the face to be even, so that my tracks are going to roughly hit the face at the same time. It doesn't have to be exact and perfect, but you want to kind of go up, and let me see if I can do this in relation to the camera. You want to go up relatively even. You don't want to be pitched off to one side while you're trying to climb, because you're already angling pretty steep going up the hill. You don't want to be angled side to side. And that's all we're going to look for here on our face, is we just want to make sure that that's, you know, decently even, which it is. I've kind of prepped this so that we don't have to mess with that. If it wasn't even, that's super easy, because we're in an excavator. And so I could take a quick chomp out here, and I could pull that back, and I could take a chomp out here, and look at there. Now we got a nice even face. In fact, if we really want to get fancy, we want to smooth right over to the face, right? We don't want to bounce all over, so we'll just smooth that out, and boom. Now we've prepped it to climb. In fact, if anything else, we've made it steeper. The next step you're going to do, again, make sure you wear your seatbelt. If you're in a mid-size or a mini excavator, make sure your blade is all the way in the up position so we're not dragging it through the dirt behind us. And now we're actually going to go climb. It doesn't matter if you have the blade out in front or back. I will say, because the original question was how to climb a slope that's steep enough and tall enough that you have to kind of reset your bucket. If you're in an excavator with a blade, I would point the blade downhill, because if we do have to stop, and I'll show you kind of here on the slope, if we do have to stop and reset our bucket, then we will use our blade as kind of a backstop so we don't slide back down the hill. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we've got our face prepped. We're going to go right up to it. And you can even start to go up your slope a little bit. But now the key is we're going to reach as far out as possible. You don't want to reach super tight here, because then as we pull ourselves up, you're going to be crowding yourself. So we're going to reach way out here, and we're really going to stab that bucket in, and we're going to grab some material. When you get good at this, you don't have to grab quite so much material, but especially as a rookie, really grab a bite with your bucket so that you've got a good solid anchor point. Because what's going to happen, the whole idea that we're trying to do here is we are assisting our final drives by using the boom and the stick. And so you want to have a good anchor set up there so that when we start pulling the machine forward, your bucket isn't just scraping across the ground. So you can see we've got a good chunk there. Now we're going to start tracking forward, and at the same time, I'm going to be booming down and sticking in. And what that's going to do naturally, I mean, let's just show you when we're not doing everything else. I'm going to stab in, and now if I boom down and I stick in, you can already see, well, we're not going to stick in, but just booming down, you can see I'm lifting my tracks off of the ground, and I'm getting set for the angle that we need to go up. We're just doing this in real time as we track forward. That's the whole goal here. So I got a bite. Now we're going to start tracking forward as I stick in and I boom down. And now you're going to notice we're kind of angled off to the side. That's no problem. we need to go back this way. So I'm going to go back with my left-hand track, and I'm going to turn my structure up here a little bit to the right. And that way my tracks can kind of rotate out. So we're going to do that right now. And look at that, we're nice and lined up. And we can get fancy with it. I mean, if we wanted to be way over here, we could do that. You can see how I've got the freedom, even in the middle of climbing a slope, that we can situate ourselves the way we need to. And once you're straight on, we're just going to continue to track and pull ourselves up. And right here, this is what I'm talking about. Let's say we were in the middle of a super steep climb and we needed to reset our bucket. I'm going to put my blade down until it's dug in, and then very slowly, because we're on a slope, you don't want to do anything sudden on slope so that you don't cause any sudden weight shifts. Then I have the freedom now that I could go throw my bucket further out there, grab another bite. Now, don't forget this part. Let's pull our blade back up, and now we're going to continue to track up. And as you get to the tipping point, and notice on the fly I'm able to adjust my tracks however I need to. We've got the flexibility of doing that. As we start to reach this tipping point, what I'm going to do is let myself down gently. So I'm going to start to pull my boom back as I continue to stick in, because what we don't want to do is release our anchor point, because we're still on the slope. We still need that assistance getting up. You don't want to release your anchor point, but we do want to let the machine start to tip down. So we're going to continue to track forward. We're going to stick in, and I'm letting my boom down, and look at that. We were able to, with no problem whatsoever, no safety risk whatsoever, we were able to climb that slope with no problem. And you can see right there, let me make sure you can see on the screen. Yes, you can. So right here, you can see where we stabbed our blade in to hold us. And you saw how stable we were on that slope. When I was holding with the blade, we weren't going anywhere. Now let's do the exact opposite. Let's go down the slope. So again, we're gonna make sure our blade's all the way up. And same thing, when you go up to the edge of the slope, you wanna see that your face is pretty well even, because again, we don't want to do a bunch of rolling to the side as we go down this. You want to be relatively even. There's two techniques you can use on going down a slope, and it's just really preference for the operator. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to go here to the edge, and we're going to just let ourselves down nice and easy, kind of the opposite of what we did to get up here. So we're going to get all the way to the edge, right almost to where we're going to tip, so right about here. And again, we don't want to run out of room here. So go all the way out, reach so that you're not crowding yourself. And this is a short slope, so I can put my teeth down. But if we were in a really long slope, you actually might want to use the heel of your bucket, and I'll show you. We can use that to kind of skate across the ground so that we're not crowding ourselves quite so much. And so what we can do is, you know, normally what I would do is I'll show you. I'm going to stick in and keep my boom so that I'm kind of holding myself in the air. But what we could also do is, if you're a rookie operator and you're kind of getting the grasp on everything, is use the heel of your bucket, and that way we can just skate it across the ground. Now you've taken the whole stick out of play. And we're out here enough, if I let down, I'm off of my pile right now. And so if I just start booming down, look at how easy we can do this. This doesn't require a lot of crazy operator skills. Look at that. We have now let ourselves down safely. I can raise that bucket up. Can you see that? Yes, you can. Or what I can do to make it a little more comfortable for myself is I can raise it up a little. And again, I'm going to stick in and I'm going to boom down. And that's going to like just even me out a little bit as I come down this slope. So that's the first technique to let yourself down, where you're not keeping the machine level. You're intentionally tipping yourself forward. Now, as you get more skilled, let's get back up here on our pile. As you get more skilled, what you're probably going to want to do is keep yourself a little more level, because we're operators, right? We like being comfortable. I love being comfortable. I don't like banging around and getting all tippy, and you know, that's for the birds. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to suspend ourselves out there. And this is assuming you're getting a little better on the controls. We don't have to skate our bucket like we did. So again, we're going to throw our bucket all the way out there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stick in so that my bucket's staying in position. And we're going to continue to track out, holding ourselves level until you start to feel the machine drop. So right about there, I'm starting to go down. Now I'm just gonna stick in and boom up nice and slow. And the goal here is keep myself level and comfortable so that if I have a monster back here in my cup holder, as I often do, it's not gonna spill all over the cab. So we're just gonna nice and easy, we're gonna go down, boom, look at that. We're just keeping it nice and level. And what you need to understand here is your stick is only controlling your back to front movement. My actual tippiness is all being done with my boom control. And so if you're okay skating across the ground, we could in theory kind of do this. You're probably gonna push that, yeah, you're seeing the stick cylinder push over relief. I don't recommend doing that, but if you're a new operator, you can get away with it. But really what we're gonna do is we're just gonna nice and easy let ourselves down. Look at how gentle that was. I don't even think my monster would have shaken at all. So if you needed to do a super long downhill slope, again, going back to the original question, that's when I would actually use my bucket and I would skate. So I would put my bucket out here, and instead of worrying about trying to stick in and keep it super efficient, I would let my bucket skate down the pile. And then if I needed to slow myself down, I have two options. So if we're in a really, really steep downhill slope and it's starting to maybe get away from me, in this machine I have the option that I can throw this down and use it as kind of a scoop that's gonna grab some dirt to slow myself down. If you're in a larger excavator and you don't have that ability, that's where I would actually, as you're going down the slope, you could curl your bucket back, engage your teeth, and that way you've got some more friction to keep you from getting away from you on the slope. And then again, the whole time we're going down, I am able to control my left to right steering with my tracks and with my turntable. So as always, I hope this has been helpful. I know this is a lot to take in as a rookie operator. What I will say is, don't go practice on a steep slope your first time. Practice on some nice gentle slopes. Practice the motions, get used to all that before you go try to dive off a 20-foot tall pile in a big 330 excavator when you don't know what you're doing. Baby steps with everything. Just take baby steps. Get really good at using all of your functions at the same time, your tracks and your boom and bucket and stick controls all at the same time, because this is a complex operation. And if for whatever reason you get a weird shift, you do need to be at an operating capability that you can react on the fly without having to think about which controls you need to do. That you do need to get to a point where the machine is just kind of an extension of your body, and that way if something starts to go sideways when you're diving off a big 30-foot tall spoils pile, you know what you need to do to control that machine. So as always, feel free to reach out in the comments if you got any questions or comments, and we'll catch you guys on the next Down and Dirty.